Clark?
Return to practice at all?
No return to practice. She's been able to get a little bit more in her full court running, with her all of her body weight. It's really building up from doing minimal to then building some endurance to do longer periods of time. She's been able to do a little bit more on the court in terms of how she moves, but not into practice yet, no.
The Indiana Fever just dropped a bombshell that has every single basketball fan asking the same question. What are they hiding about Caitlin Clark? And before you click away, stick around, because what Stephanie White just revealed might mean we won't see Clark in a Fever uniform for the rest of this season. Yeah, you heard that right. Look, if you're tired of the corporate speak and the endless runaround about Caitlin Clark's injury, hit that like button right now, because we're about to expose exactly what's going on behind closed doors in Indianapolis. Because what the Fever organization is doing to their fans right now, it's borderline disrespectful. 27 days. That's how long Caitlin Clark has been out with this mysterious groin injury. 27 days of day-to-day updates that mean absolutely nothing. 27 days of fans buying tickets hoping to see their superstar play, only to find out hours before tip-off that she's sitting on the bench in street clothes. Again. But here's where it gets wild. Just yesterday, the official WNBA website listed Caitlin Clark as a game-time decision for Tuesday's matchup against the Dallas Wings. Fans got excited. Social media went crazy. People started booking flights to Indianapolis. And then Stephanie White walked up to that podium and basically laughed in everyone's face. No return to practice, she said it with a straight face. She's been able to get a little bit more in her full court running with all of her body weight. Hold up. With all of her body weight? What does that even mean? Is she running or is she not running? Because last time I checked, professional athletes don't celebrate being able to run with their own body weight. That's literally the bare minimum. And it gets worse. White continued by saying Clark is building up from doing minimal to then building some endurance to do longer periods of time. She's been able to do a little bit more on the court in terms of how she moves, but not into practice yet. Translation? Your 23-year-old superstar who was supposed to dominate this season can barely move around the court without restrictions. Remember, this is the same Caitlin Clark who never missed a single game in college. Not one. She played through everything at Iowa. Bumps, bruises, you name it. She was out there dropping 40 points with a wrapped ankle. But suddenly, in her second WNBA season, she's missed 19 of 32 games. 19! That's more games missed than played. Let me put this in perspective for you. Clark has dealt with 4 separate muscle injuries this season. 4! A left quad strain in May that kept her out 3 weeks. A left groin injury in June that sidelined her for 2 weeks. Now a right groin injury that's approaching a month. Oh, and let's not forget that mysterious hand injury during preseason that nobody wants to talk about. The pattern here is concerning, and nobody in the Fever organization wants to address it. Every other team in the league, when a star player gets hurt, they give you a timeline. Stewie gets injured. The New York Liberty says she'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks. Minimum, clear, transparent. Fee goes down. The Minnesota Lynx tell you exactly when to expect an update. But with Caitlin Clark, it's always this vague nonsense. Day to day for a month, no timeline, we'll see how she feels. Taking it one step at a time. It's like they're playing some sick game with the fan base, dangling hope just to snatch it away at the last second. And the fans have every right to be furious. These aren't just casual viewers. These are people who dropped hundreds of dollars on tickets specifically to see Caitlin Clark play. Parents who promised their kids they'd see their hero in action. Fans who drove 8 hours from Iowa to Indianapolis. The Fever's attendance has skyrocketed because of Clark. Their TV ratings are through the roof when she plays, and the organization's value has probably doubled since she arrived. Yet, they treat these same fans like they don't deserve basic information about when their star player might return. It's not just disrespectful, it's bad business. Here's what really happened that nobody wants to talk about. Sources close to the situation are saying that when Clark initially got hurt on July 15th against Connecticut, the medical staff thought it was minor. A little tweak, maybe miss a game or two. But then she had that scan after the game, and while the Fever claimed it showed no additional damage, something clearly wasn't right. Think about it. If the scan showed nothing, but she still can't play a month later, what does that tell you? Either the medical staff completely botched the diagnosis, or there's something more serious going on that they don't want to admit. Because a simple groin strain doesn't keep a 23-year-old professional athlete out for this long unless there are complications. And let's talk about those complications. Multiple league sources have suggested that Clark might be dealing with chronic groin issues that stem from her aggressive playing style and the unprecedented physicality she faces every night. Watch any Fever game from this season, and you'll see Clark getting grabbed, held, and hit on nearly every possession. The refs swallow their whistles, the league looks the other way, and Clark's body is paying the price. Stephanie White even admitted it herself. There's a level of physicality that they're able to play with against her. I knew it as an opponent, and I see it as her coach. I'm not exactly sure why, but it just is what it is. Really, Coach White? You're not sure why the most popular player in your league is getting beat up every night with no calls? Come on. But here's where the story takes an even darker turn. Remember when the Fever announced Clark would miss the All-Star game? They waited until literally the day before to make it official. The three-point contest? Day of? The Commissioner's Cup? Hours before tip-off. It's a pattern of deception that suggests they know more than they're telling us. And now we have players contradicting each other about Clark's status. Natasha Howard tweets "see you soon" to Clark. Kelsey Mitchell implies she's close to returning. Then Stephanie White comes out and says she's nowhere near ready. So either the players don't know what's going on with their own teammate, or someone's not telling the truth. The financial implications here are staggering. The WNBA has built their entire 2025 marketing campaign around Caitlin Clark. She's in every commercial, every promotional video, every social media post. Prime Video paid millions for exclusive rights to Fever games, expecting Clark to play. Sponsors signed deals based on her star power. And now, crickets. Television ratings have dropped 55% when Clark doesn't play. 55%! That's not just a dip. That's a catastrophe for a league trying to establish itself as a major sports property. The Fever's next home game against Washington? Good luck selling those tickets at full price when nobody knows if Clark will even be in uniform. What makes this even more frustrating is that Clark herself seems to want to play. In a recent interview, she talked about how difficult it's been mentally to sit out. It's honestly been hard, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's difficult going to prepare for games, but knowing you're not going to be playing in them. That doesn't sound like someone who's happy about being held out. So why is the organization being so secretive? Here's my theory, and trust me, you're gonna want to hear this. The Fever are 7-4 without Clark during this recent stretch. They've won 5 straight games at one point. Aaliyah Boston is playing the best basketball of her career. The team chemistry is clicking. And suddenly, the narrative isn't about how desperately they need Clark to compete. It's about how they might actually be better without her dominating the ball. Think about what Stephanie White said after their win in Seattle. Sometimes it can be a blessing in disguise because everybody else finds themselves. A blessing in disguise? Your franchise player being injured is a blessing? That's not something a coach says unless there's been internal discussions about roles and playing time. Could it be that the Fever are using this injury as an opportunity to develop their other players for the playoffs? Are they intentionally being vague about Clark's return because they want to see how far this team can go without relying on her every possession? It would explain why they keep moving the goalposts on her recovery timeline. But there's another possibility that's even more concerning. What if Clark's injury is actually worse than they're letting on? What if she's dealing with something that could require surgery or extended rest into the offseason? The way they're handling this situation, with no timeline and constant deflection, suggests they're buying time while weighing their options. Remember, this is Clark's second year in the league, and she's already on pace to miss more games than most players miss in their entire career. The physical toll of going straight from a grueling college season to the WNBA without a break, then immediately into year 2 with a target on her back, it's clearly catching up to her. And let's be real about what's at stake here. The Fever invested everything in building around Clark. They hired Stephanie White specifically because of her connection to Indiana basketball. They brought in veteran players to complement Clark's style. They marketed the entire season around her return to dominance. If she can't stay healthy, the whole plan falls apart. The playoffs start in mid-September. That's just a few weeks away. If Clark isn't back and fully healthy by then, what's the point? Do you risk further injury in meaningless regular season games? Or do you shut her down, let her fully heal, and hope she comes back stronger next season? These are the questions the Fever front office is asking themselves right now, and they don't want to admit it publicly because it would be admitting failure. It would be acknowledging that their franchise player, the face of women's basketball, can't stay on the court when it matters most. Want to know something crazy? League sources are whispering that Clark might have already played her last game of the 2025 season, that the Fever are just stringing everyone along to keep ticket sales up and maintain interest through the final weeks. It sounds conspiracy theory level insane until you look at how they've handled everything so far. The lack of transparency isn't just hurting fans, it's hurting Clark's reputation. People are starting to question her toughness, wondering if she's soft, if she can't handle the physicality of professional basketball. That's unfair to someone who's proven her heart and determination countless times. But when the organization won't give straight answers, speculation fills the void. And speaking of speculation, there's growing concern among basketball insiders that Clark's body might not be built for the WNBA style of play. She's listed at 6 feet tall, but she's lean, not particularly muscular, and she plays with a reckless abandon that puts her body in harm's way. The constant cutting, stopping, starting, and absorbing contact, it's a recipe for chronic injuries. Some scouts are already comparing her to players like Derrick Rose or Brandon Roy, phenomenal talents whose bodies betrayed them early in their careers. That's a terrifying thought for Fever fans who've waited decades for a true superstar. But here's what really burns me up about this whole situation. The fans deserve better. The people who've supported this team through years of mediocrity, who finally have something to cheer for, they deserve honest communication about what's happening with their star player. Instead, they get Stephanie White acting annoyed when reporters ask legitimate questions. They get vague injury reports that change by the hour. They get false hope from automated website updates that mean nothing. It's insulting to the intelligence of anyone who follows this team. If you're as frustrated as I am about this situation, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell because we're going to keep exposing what's really happening with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. The mainstream media won't tell you the truth, but we will. Look, I'm not saying the Fever should rush Clark back. Her long-term health is obviously the priority, but there's a way to handle this situation with class and transparency, and they're failing miserably at both. Here's what should happen. The Fever should come out tomorrow and say Caitlin Clark will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. She's making progress, but we want to ensure she's 100% before returning. We appreciate our fans' patience, and we'll provide another update on this specific date. See how easy that is? Instead, we get day-to-day for a month. We get game time decision when she's not even practicing. We get coaches contradicting players, contradicting medical staff. It's amateur hour in Indianapolis, and the fans are the ones suffering. The real tragedy here is that this should have been Clark's breakout season. After winning Rookie of the Year, she was supposed to take that next step toward MVP candidacy. She was supposed to lead the Fever deep into the playoffs. She was supposed to cement herself as the face of women's basketball for the next decade. Instead, she spent more time in the training room than on the court. She's watched from the bench as her team figures out how to win without her. She's become a question mark instead of an exclamation point. And the saddest part? This might just be the beginning. If Clark can't figure out how to stay healthy, if her body keeps breaking down every few weeks, we might be witnessing the early chapters of one of sport's great what-if stories. The Fever have 12 games left in the regular season, 12 opportunities for Clark to make her return and salvage something from this disaster of a year. But with each passing day, with each vague injury update, with each game time decision that turns into another DNP, hope fades a little more. Will Caitlin Clark play again this season? At this point, your guess is as good as mine. And that's exactly the problem. In professional sports, in 2025, with all the medical technology and communication tools available, nobody's guess should be as good as anyone else's. We should know. The fans should know. Clark herself should know. But the Indiana Fever have chosen secrecy over transparency, confusion over clarity, and frustration over faith. They've turned what should be a simple injury recovery into a mystery that's damaging their relationship with fans and potentially harming their star player's career. The clock is ticking. The playoffs are coming. And Caitlin Clark remains on the sideline, running with all her body weight. Whatever that means. The Fever better figure this out soon because patience is running thin. And even the most loyal fans have their limits. If you think the Fever need to come clean about Caitlin Clark's injury, drop a comment below and let them know how you feel. Share this video with every basketball fan you know because this story needs to be heard. The truth needs to come out. And subscribe right now because we're not done exposing what's really happening in Indianapolis. Trust me, you don't want to miss what we uncover next.